Isn't it weird how quickly things shift, how quickly energy shifts, how in one moment you can feel really excited for something, and just the smallest thing changes that? Welcome to the Perspectives Podcast. My name is Ashley. I'm going to be your host today. And I, I don't know where this episode's going to go, but we're going to have a ball finding out. So, for any of you that have listened to any of my previous podcast episodes, watched any of my YouTube videos, there's been a lot going on. I'd say the biggest thing that is happening in my life is this upcoming tentative trip to Egypt. I say Egypt, well, actually, I say tentative. Egypt, that doesn't change. I mean, there is an Egypt, Pennsylvania, but, I'm talking about Egypt in North Africa. So I say tentative, though, because I still haven't booked it yet. And theoretically, I'm going to be leaving in 2 weeks. Theoretically. But I still haven't booked anything yet because it's this sense of fear. It's this sense, like it's realizing everything that has been holding me stuck in so many ways. And I don't just mean to this trip for Egypt, but it's probably just about everything. Maybe you don't realize how much of a hold fear, and even really the word that comes to me is resistance. So maybe I'm going to switch over to resistance because this is what I've been experiencing. And this is what I experienced today, for example. I feel like when I first came into the idea of going to Egypt, I was excited, but felt that this was impossible. Impossible given my current circumstances. I'm currently unemployed. I have been for a little bit now and haven't had money coming in. There's a lot of lack mindset. There's a lot, and in the actual physical, tangible world here, the bank account has been dwindling. So, part of the plan before Egypt came up was, okay, I'm going to get a job, even part-time, and just, at least I'll have some money coming in. I'll feel that security within myself again. And like I said, Egypt came up and it was like a quick split second. Oh, that would be so cool. Not going to happen. And that was the end of it. But in the last month, we're in March now. It pretty much the whole month of February, I started getting signs. And maybe I was getting them before that. But granted, this Egypt probably presented itself, I don't know, maybe beginning of the year. So beginning of January or something. So you don't really notice them, but then at some point they become apparent. And I'm meeting people that are Egyptians. I've never met one in my life before. And you're seeing signs that say Egypt, or you're seeing pyramids everywhere. Somebody's talking about Cairo. This is, all of these things that either it's happening to you all the time and you're just ignoring it, or not seeing it, not recognizing it, or the universe is just dropping all of these signs in your lap saying, hey, pay attention to this. So it was probably somewhere around 2 weeks ago now that I was just, it was left and right. I was tripping over signs essentially for Egypt. And that's when I said, what does it look like to pretend that I'm going? And there was so much that came up. The idea of actually going brought up unroofed so much insecurity and so much lack mindset and so much about who are you to do this when you don't have a job, when you don't have the money coming in, when, that was probably some of the biggest stuff, but also you're going to travel alone again. You hate that. And like all of the things that just kind of keep you like, ugh, I don't want to do this. This feels terrible. And so over the last 2 weeks, I'd say I've been on quite a roller coaster with that. A roller coaster of sometimes feeling super excited and sometimes the fear I like to refer to a lot of the stuff you don't want to look at, that they're in boxes. And it's like that some of it is just they're open and ugh, the fear is there again, and all this insecurity and all these things that you don't want to look at. And that's why you don't go to Egypt, because you don't want to go through those boxes. Um, all of the shame and the guilt and all of those yucky emotions. That's why you don't go. But I, at some point in the last 2 weeks, committed to myself. I just said the words, I'm going. And I started, anytime I would talk to people, like, oh, sorry, I can't do that because I'm going to Egypt. So it was quite a shift. And again, more things, more boxes got opened. And, the next day you'd feel you'd feel excited that you're saying these things, but then the next day you feel terrible because all of this fear and uncertainty starts to come up, starts to bubble up to the surface, because it's been stored in all those cracks and crevices. I imagine myself as a kid again, where mom tells you to clean your room and you just go upstairs and you shove everything underneath the bed, and whatever those little curtains at the bottom of your bed were, and you made sure that you pull those down because she'll know then. And then you get to go outside and play, So, but the same thing, it's like now you got to clean out from under the bed and all that stuff you don't want to look at. And so, part of it is just it's easier not to go because it's so uncomfortable to clean out all of that stuff where you stored it all of that shame, that guilt, that lack mentality, scarcity mindset, all of the fears, all of the I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And let it air out a little bit. Maybe you don't have to do anything with it, but just let it air out a bit. So I say all this because, holy mackerel, today was going to be the day I'm buying my stuff, because on and off in the last even week, it's been, I'd say the majority, I can just feel it. I can feel I'm supposed to be there. And I think I've made a couple of videos and podcasts about this, that, now I'm starting to be able to feel what it feels like, that connection, that peace that's waking up inside of me, that just knows, like, I don't know why, my mind wants to plan it, wants to understand what's going on. Like, oh, are you going out there to get a job? Are you going out there to meet the person that, you're supposed to meet in order to get this going, or whatever? Like, my mind wants to plan around it, but I'm not letting it, one. And I feel like now I can really, because I'm letting go of a lot of that noise of needing to know what this is all about. Because you can't just go out on an Egypt trip. There has to be a reason for it, says my mind. So this whole week has been kind of like feeling like, okay, this is freaking happening. And so today was going to be the day. Today is the day to buy the tickets, buy everything. And I made a video this morning, which is going to be posted tomorrow, which is going to be before this one. So it's already posted. So go back and take a look at it. And it was great. It felt so good in my system to make that video. And then after that, I do this online Spanish immersion, not really, intercambio. And so I got on there, and I'm still a little scared, and I'm learning to let that go and everything, because all of these people that come on there speak Spanish so well, and their English is great, and, and we're all practicing back and forth. And then it's like every 7 minutes you switch off to the other language. And so I kind of like do my quick couple of lines in Spanish that I know, and then wait for English to happen. And then I chime in again. And today there was a group of people. Really, it was just this one girl who, when I was speaking to her in my native language, there was so much resonance, because she's doing the same thing. For some reason, she kept getting signs to go to Colombia, and to a part of Colombia she'd never even heard of, and I don't even remember the name of it. And she, but either way, she showed up there, and long story short, now she's living there, because she only got there like 3 months ago or something. But like, she got there and one thing happened after another, and she's like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be living here. And so, but like, It was, and I could just feel, not that I'm saying that I'm going to, and who knows, but not that I'm saying that I'm going to get to Egypt and I'm going to be living there. But it just felt like such an aligned morning, let's just say. So right after that, I get out my computer and I go to buy the tickets, and I type in my credit card, and something happened, whatever. And so I check my phone, it send me a text message. There's this, purchase, that needs to be verified. So I said, it was me. And okay, try again. And so I tried again. Didn't go through. I was like, motherfucker, so I get on my email and I verify it through email. Try again, and it didn't go through. So I called. And so after, long story short, after talking to these people, it should go through now. But when I got off the phone, I was like, all right, universe, because I don't believe in coincidences. What's going on here? And I got to sit right there with some more stuff, more boxes opened up, because it's like I have been, I'm looking for the easy path. And I'm basically waiting for somebody to show up on my doorstep saying, oh, here's your flight itinerary. Here's all that you're going to do when you get there. This is all planned out for you. You don't have to worry about a thing. Just get on the plane, And then when I get there, somebody, like you're waiting for that red carpet to be pulled out for you. And without it, it's like, well, I could stay here and do the thing that I've been doing, the easier thing, I'll call it, the more convenient thing, because I know this, versus that little bit of resistance that I met today. And now, going from, oh, this is totally an aligned morning to, well, now, I don't know, like you feel that resistance and you don't really want to push through it. It's like I got the image of, I've been constantly looking for flow in my life and asking for flow in my life. And you got to let go and just flow, go with the flow, go with the flow. And it's like today, you would think flow is just this ease of access, 12:12 on my clock, and ease of access. And yet I was getting some resistance. And then when I sat with that resistance, more stuff came up, more boxes got opened, and more like, well, maybe this isn't the path. Maybe, because if it was, it would just be like, gumdrops and rainbows and unicorn turds and everything just laying around. Unicorn turds. I like that. Anyway, but you meet resistance and you turn around. You meet a little bit of uncomfortability and you turn around, a little bit of doubt, a little bit of uncertainty. And there's that mental part of that. For me, anyway, maybe this resonates with you, but it's like, to me, I like feeling certain of myself. I like knowing what's happening. I like knowing where I'm going. I like. And when I meet resistance, it's like, yeah, I don't like being uncomfortable. How many of you like being uncomfortable? I mean, like, heck, I have so many stories with that. But, ayahuasca, one of the big things that it showed me was like, I resist being uncomfortable like the plague. And I won't get into too much of it now, but uncomfortability. I don't like being unassured. I don't like not knowing. And I know that doesn't overly relate to what we're talking about. We're talking about resistance here. But still, it's 10 o'clock at night, and I attempted this probably about 10 o'clock this morning, maybe a little later. It's probably like 1 or 2. But still, I still haven't booked anything. And honestly, I got onto my computer and I watched a video on YouTube from somebody that I feel like, I usually find something to resonate with. And it was just like on the energy of the month of March or something. And towards the end, he started talking about breath work, because I don't know if you listened to my previous, I don't know when it was, maybe a couple of videos ago I was talking about, or whatever, a couple of podcasts ago, I was talking about this breath work that I was doing. Actually, heck no, I never actually mentioned it. I did, but I deleted those episodes because it didn't feel quite right in my system. But I'll give you the backstory. Last weekend, so almost a week ago now, I did breath work online with this group. Really, it's this guy that I follow on YouTube. He's been offering breath work. And I took it with him before because I took coaching with him before. Anyway, long story short, it's really great. It's somatic release breath work. But what I said in my episode that you guys will never, ever, ever, ever get to hear is that words, that breath work for me feels like it feels like work, and I avoid it like the plague. Go figure. And what else did I avoid like the plague? Discomfort, and also resistance. And breath work to me personifies all of that. I am a person, if you ever got to meet me and if you get to know me, I love releases. I do. It's great. Like to me, when I can feel something needs to come up and I can get it to come up, give it enough space, let it grow, do all these things. I've taken different plant medicine journeys and things like when I release things, I feel like a champ. So it's not that I'm afraid of going into breath work, afraid of what might come up. I'm actually embracing what comes up. Like I hope stuff comes up. I actually feel, I hate to say that too, because you're not a failure, but like sometimes you come out and nothing happened. You're like, oh, great, nothing happened, which is not true. Something did happen. But aside from that, yeah, it's like breath work is one of those things that just feel like work. And when I know, like if I tell myself I'm doing it the first Saturday of every month from here on out, oh man, you better believe the week up until I'm just like, well, I think I'm feeling a little sick. You know what? There's that thing that kind of goes at the same time. I probably should skip breath work, and so you just avoid it. And I start, it's like I'm starting to realize that the things that give me just a little bit, a veil, I call it, a veil of resistance, just a little bit of resistance, I avoid. Because my mentality is like, well, everything should be easeful, everything should be flowy, everything, if I'm going to go with the flow, if I'm a leaf on a river, like there's not going to be any there's not going to be any resistance. But I don't know, like I feel the same way. I do fascial maneuvers, and when you're excited for it, you do them all the time. But it's in those times that you don't, that you feel like it's kind of sticky and heavy, and I don't want to do another 20 minutes. Like, I'm tired. I don't want to, or I got other things that I want to do. And it's just like that little bit of resistance just keeps you away from doing things. Same thing with like exercise. It's like when you're super motivated. I just said this in another video or podcast, but it's like when you're anybody can make a video when they're motivated. Anybody can make a podcast when they're super motivated. But really, where the creativity and expression lies is on those times that you don't feel like it, because that's the real meat and potatoes right there, is when you just don't want to. And I hate to push myself at those times, because maybe it just needs I need a little space. Maybe I just need a little rest time. And that's a thing too. But I think a lot of times I just feel resistance and walk away and go, it's not the time, or, and maybe I'm right too. But I think I'm starting to realize a pattern of resistance. And what does it look like, for me anyway, to maybe push through anyway? Because if every time I encounter resistance and chalk it up to, well, maybe my body needs a break, which is totally a possibility, and I agree, or that, you need, maybe this isn't the thing for me, or maybe this isn't And maybe all of these are true. Maybe they are. But I'm also wondering, is this just a very sneaky way for my ego to pull me away from the things that maybe are beneficial for me? Um, and yeah, so that's a possibility as well. I don't know. I think as I'm fine tuning this system that is my intuition, that is my inner compass, my inner knowing, and detuning, untuning, tuning out, I'm not sure. There's something with it, tune. Um, this sense of, what's the word I'm thinking of? Ego, thoughts. As I learn to let go of these, like all of the thoughts, all of the noise, all of like the chaos in some ways that goes on in my mind. It distorts the clarity. I think of like, a pile of junk in the room, and it's like maybe there's something in there that I want, but there's so much stuff, and meh, don't want to deal with it. But it's like maybe once you start to slowly siphon off some of those thoughts and some of that excess chaotic energy that's going out, once you can really tune into that inner knowing, that inner compass, you'll be able to tell, or at least this is my theory, you'll be able to tell what feels resonant. Is it this, or am I not really feeling it anymore and I don't want to do it because it doesn't feel resonant? Do I not want to do it because there's a little bit of resistance coming up and I don't want to try to push through resistance? Or does it just not feel like me, or I'm not feeling the vibe here, like this is my thing, but maybe not at this place, or I don't know. But this is my theory. And I guess all of that means, I guess in some ways I'm on this path of learning to calm my mind, learning to observe the thoughts. And I think in some ways that's helping to sort out the chaos, the mess, if you will, so that 22:22 on the clock, by the way. But it's learning to calm everything down so I can really hear what's going on inside, so that I know, does this feel resonant to me? Does this feel like where I want to go? And if it is, you push through. You push through that little bit of resistance because you know what's on the other side is what you want. I feel like I'm getting like this image of, I keep getting an image of like a dog with an electric collar, and I've been using it for this idea of, finding where your comfort zone perimeter is, and then pushing past it a little bit. But it's like that same kind of sentiment with resistance. And it's like, fine, like it's really easy to do all the things that I already do and know, but there's always that little bit of resistance when you're doing new things or trying new things, pushing yourself a little bit further, getting to a point in some ways where you don't know if, I don't want to say that you can't go back, because you can always go back, but well, I guess to some degree. I guess what I'm meaning is like, if you push through resistance and this doesn't feel good, you go back into your comfort zone a little bit. But I think of all the things that I've started, like art, for example, and, it's like, it makes me feel uncomfortable at times. And I could just put it all away. I could just throw it all out if I wanted to. But there's something in that and just pushing through. Keep playing with it. Let all of those stories come up. And the same thing, like I said, with exercise or these fascial maneuvers or, and it's just like, I don't know, it's developing a part of you. I think of like exercise and going to a gym, and it's like everybody's good to go on nice sunny days and stuff like that. But it's the days that are shitty and yucky that nobody wants to show up and go to an 8 o'clock in the morning class. Me included, by the way, no shame. But yeah, I don't know. It's finding those areas of resistance and I guess sitting with it at this point. Maybe starting to push, see what happens. And I think today I met my veil with resistance. One little roadblock gets thrown up, and I'm just like, well, probably shouldn't do this. And yeah, I don't know. I think I met resistance today because it wanted to show me resistance. Because if everything would have went smoothly, yeah, I'm sure it would have came up somewhere else. But I think because it's something that I know, I can feel that I would want to experience, this trip to Egypt. So I think at some point the universe knows I'm going to book this trip. But I think as a little bit of a speed bump, it's like, when you have to slow down for it, or you have to stop for a pothole or something like that, or go around it. It's like, you don't just say, well, I'm not going to drive on the rest of the road. It's like, oh, okay, this happened, and what do we do with that? We're okay. Yeah, car's good. All right, let's keep going. So that's kind of the sense I'm getting. Take a look at your life, see where the resistance is, or just start to take notice. I don't know. Like I said, with the invisible dog, not that the collar is invisible, the invisible, yeah, sorry, the invisible fence. That's the word. Invisible fence. It's like looking at the invisible fence and of your life and seeing where there is just I keep saying a veil, but yeah, like that's stopping you from doing anything, asking for promotion or getting a new job or moving to that place or talking to that guy that you've been eyeballing at the coffee shop or whatever the resistance is. Just recognize it. You don't have to push through it. You don't have, but just see where it's holding you back, where it's stopping you in your tracks, and see if it still serves. If it does, yay. We're well practiced at it. Keep it around a little bit longer. If it doesn't, though, what can we do to, I don't know, kind of push back against the resistance and see, I don't want to say see if we fall through because that sounds painful. But see where it gives a little bit more. So either way, all right, I think I'm going to cut this one. And yeah, 27:27 on the clock. I love numbers. I love it. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in for another episode. If you like my content, click like, click subscribe, leave me some comments because I'd love to hear from you guys and see what you're thinking of the new format, the new, this is really a complete change, for any of you that are previous subscribers. This is kind of a big change from, doing car life. I feel like I talk about a lot of the same stuff, because traumas pop up whether you're living in your car or living at home or, but I feel like that component of being a nomad is now missing. And I think in some ways that's what I'm doing. I'm calling in the people that resonate with what I have to talk about and maybe not exactly where I'm living. So that could be an episode on itself, but in itself. However, leave me a comment. Talk to me, people. Talk to me. Tell me what's going on. And yeah, I'll check you guys in the next episode.